earlier in the day. Do you think we will see another?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. We'll see. Soniqs, they were afraid of it, so they banned it, but I don't think that's going to be the case here. Ace is starting things off from the side of Parabellum. Of course, target betting that hard destructive breach that you can do on Villa.
An operator that Astralis plays quite well here. It's a 4-game winning streak for Astralis on Villa. As Jesse talked about, their last time playing this was map number 1 of the best of 5 grand final in the Charlotte Major. And it ended up being a big victory for Astralis going into overtime. And it was a nail-biter, a thriller, all 15 rounds required. Are we going to see the same today? Thatcher banned out, Valkyrie will join too, and a final operator ban. You said this won't be an Azami.
I don't think so. I feel like both teams are happy to play it and against it. Both of these teams are quite creative and also play well together between the different members of the roster. And I think they've both done their homework as well. I don't think they're going to go in thinking, we don't know how to use it.
Well,
so
we'll see. You think they're doing their homework, yet they took about the max amount of time to do it, and they banned Goyo.
There it is. So go a bit of a more stable ban here on Villa. Of course, Goyo got a slight rework not too long ago. Instead of having those shields, he now has the Vulcan canisters. Essentially, if you shoot them, it'll spread fire on the nearby area for 20 seconds per canister. So it's really gonna basically punish you if you play too slow on the attacking side, because when you finally get to the bomb side, there might just be fire stopping you from any point of entry. And that, of course, will not be a problem in this game because Goyo's banned.
You may be wondering why you see some of these names being the way they are, and that's because these teams are not playing on LAN. Yes, they are playing in Las Vegas, but they're playing from the comfort of their own homes. So from time to time, you will see a lovely shot of whatever gaming room they are currently competing in. And once again, that is out of necessity because DP Fire has COVID, so they cannot play at the venue and instead have to play online. You might have seen that there was an online game earlier today, just before now, in fact, in that Mirage X-Set matchup, and it wasn't really quite, it wasn't that much of a match, but it definitely happened. Anyway, Astralis versus Parabellum, very first defense for Parabellum. They're going to go to the old reliable Aviator and Games. You might hear it referred to as AVG. This tends to be the most defender-favored bomb site on the entire map. Now, Villa has lots of flexibility, and you'll hear us refer to all 4 bomb sites over the course of this matchup. It is likely that we will see all 4 bomb sites end up being played at some point.
Certainly. I mean, the least played, of course, is Living Library, but the win rate itself, when it is actually played, isn't too bad. At the Charlotte Major, it was played twice only, but also had a 50% win rate, so a single loss and a single victory. And of course, Villa is a defender-sided map more often than not. And with the Sami in play, and also being played in this opening round from Blast, I do think it's going to stay that same kind of trend, because there's not really any new ways the attackers can deal with these different defenses, but there are different ways to set up those problems for the attackers. It's a bit of a quiet first round here. As I say that, Shuttle opening kill onto Penguin. That's the Melusi off the board. Not a huge loss, but of course the advantage is now on the side of Astralis.
It was good scouting as well from the drone that we saw. Yeah, it's the Melusi off of the board, but the Warden playing on 90 is additional information. That means that there could only be 2 mystery or 3 mystery operators being played somewhere else on the map. A nade from below does not work out, and that'll get us towards the halfway point of this round. Nobody from Parabellum has seen an engagement other than Penguin, and he didn't see much of it.
Yep, stage 1 is that roam clear and map control, and of course the attackers now have granted that on the map. Now stage 2 is the setup. We're going to figure out where we're going to strike and how we're going to be doing that. So J9O working his magic from below with that 1 grenade used earlier. Gonna rotate to the study balcony instead to apply pressure from both sides. In the meantime, Forrest finds a second one on Gunner, who's the young Gunner off the board.
And those are the 2 statistical best players from yesterday's matchup, and the only Playday that we've seen of Parabellum in action thus far. Losing your 2 most potent offensive threats, obviously not ideal. Blaz could have been the next one to die. He was that star import coming over from France. First player from Parabellum on the board is Kool-Aid. Drops Forrest, so no more than 2 kills for the newest member of Astralis. As Astralis now brings about rotates. You see them changing their execute with a minute to go, as now they need to get to the bomb site. And could they potentially see themselves weakened a little bit, given the fact that Forrest is out of the equation?
Maybe a bit of a rotate here, getting that second down study balcony, shuttle tossing a grenade, and Blast making good use of the keeper barriers, allowing this position that normally you can't play in, but with the Asami being open, you can.
Usually you'd see a deployable shield up there on the model. Instead, there's some protection. A flank now coming in from Kool-Aid. The numbers falling for Parabellum, trading back and forth, but a big double play from Eska on the stairs. DP Fire getting the diffuser down. It's now J90 to go against Eska, and yet somehow he's able to pull this one off. DP Fires his back turned, and despite the early advantage for Astralis, it's through the mid-round. A big clutch from Parabellum. You can see them erupt into celebration off of round number 1.
A little bit curious that Astralis opted to go for the main stairs push with 2 members because you don't really need that area control at all. I mean, they were already planting the diffuser inside of AVG, that a member, of course, inside of Study itself, cutting off any possible rotation. So my question is, why do we care about the main stairs? Why do we send 2 members there just, you know, with the risk of falling to Eska, in which they did? Because that just means you lose your man advantage that you spent so much work earlier on the round to maintain and to gather. Instead, it's PP getting that first on a bit of a clutch, of course. They left the bomb site and played off it, and it worked in their favor. Did not need any bombs at the now with C4s and Toxic Babes. All they needed was a bit of a gunplay situation. Forest showing the Monty, but goes off it. Not going to see that just yet so far at least. And similar defending lineup from Parabellum. Of course, Bland's taking the Asami. We can likely expect this operator to be played most rounds, if not all rounds, because on Villa, there are so many different lines of sight that normally you would need a deployable shield for to play the Clash. But Asami, you know, with 5 keeper barriers every single round, you can just completely restructure how those angles work and how they can be used. We saw him do it last round, and we'll see him do it this one as well. Extension from Parabellum, from the trophy statue side of things, all the way across the map to the office side, and we're going to see Astralis contesting with the Nuke sneaking in below.
Quite quickly, actually, for Forrest to get into the building, and he had an escort of Iconic, but instead he'll go up to Repel because there's a job to be done here. It's a trophy statuary defense. The other upstairs bomb site, that leaves Kitchen as the likely tertiary bomb site should this not work out for Parabellum. You can see the Kiba barrier still being thrown out. Another one will be regenerated, or generated rather, for Blaz as all 5 become available at about the 135-second mark.
It's close. It's Eska and it's Forest.
They'll do battle, but the Nook's been spotted. J90 is not able to get to the window to possibly get a pinch off, and instead, the Malusi dying first, it's Eska to get away. It was Penguin who was technically the first casualty, but they've swapped operators. Good flexibility for Parabellum on this lineup. We're 1 minute into the round, still droning going in for Astralis. They seem to have lined up over towards Master side of things, and that's where the drones are looking. Almost a bait onto Penguin, who sustains a little bit of damage, but other than that, Parabellum decided to get out of there and reposition themselves, waiting for Astralis to continue droning.
With that bench being shot bottom red stairs, it now poses a threat for Parabellum because they're fearing that Nuke might be sneaking on up, so Blast is rotating himself to the bottom of red to cover that area instead. The 2 impacts in the pocket of Eska is likely for wall deny on the bomb site itself, and we'll see how Astralis will deal with the wall because they still have 12 Hibana pellets left on DP Fire.
Parabellum banned out the ace, which means that you're going to see a Hibana most of the time as this primary hard breacher for Astralis. They're not bringing anybody else, and no one of those secondary hard breaches are available either. Nade primed and ready from down below. Adrenal Surge goes to give a bit more sustain to Astralis. Final minute of action right now. Kool-Aid has a close range engagement with grenades still raining in. This time over towards Astro and some from below to clear out the deployable shields. Perfect timing for Kool-Aid to possibly pull out a toxic canister, but he thinks otherwise of it. Now though, Parabellum deciding to go with some site construction work. Eska picked off by a nade. Could this be the start for Astralis to get into the bomb site? A shrewd angle being played from Gunner as he's prone in the bomb site, looking towards the doorway to bathroom. Down he goes to J90, so shrewd it may be, but it doesn't work out. Unsuccessful all the same. Penguin, a desperate attempt as 2 members of Parabellum get in on the action. It's a 3v3. DP Fire the next through the doorway as Parabellum's numbers fall. And just like that, Shuttle picks up 2 kills, and round number 2 is in the books and in the column of Astralis.
It's just fighting across the map there, and amazing. We see Shuttle like flanking from behind, walked into the trophy bomb site, found 2 easy kills as nobody was really looking his direction. No Banshees on the ground to alert the defenders that somebody is creeping on up, and that, well, made for an easy round for Astralis. The wall itself did get somewhat opened up, but it wasn't an ideal circumstance. The lines of sight weren't great, but they did of course apply the pressure, which in itself is enough to pressure the defenders off the bombs to try and get active. While PB got a kill or 2, well, they didn't get them all, and it wasn't enough. They're going to go back to the same location. The Kite now in pocket of Penguin, trying to deny that wall breach better. Now, the Kite claws can be spent in a couple of different ways. You can put them below, you can put them on the wall itself or slightly above it. Of course, keep it in your pocket for a trick, because the Hibana pellets are so slow at activating that you can definitely catch them. But we do see that there's a second choice, putting them above those wooden beams so that they're relatively safe. But not entirely. You can still find an angle from down below. You can nade above the wall with a well-timed grenade exploding mid-air, and those, of course, will clear out those Kite Claws. So once again, it's SK with those impact grenades in pocket that might be the hero to save the wall. Penguin looking for a C4 possibly.
He's a run out for it. He'll be spotted, and it's a... I don't want to say a risky gambit. I mean, it doesn't work out, but they at least have the positioning known. I don't know what Gunnar was doing, but a bit of cheekiness is answered by Iconic immediately. 15 seconds into the round, and Astralis have the very first kill already. Parabellum will now just sit and wait, and again is absolutely correct. That's the third first blood for Astralis. They are perfect in that regard.
They are, and I mean, playing 4v5 is a very nice situation, especially on attack on Villa of all things. I mean, the map is defender-sided, so any advantage you can gain early on is greatly appreciated. SK right now barricading those doors because there is the nuke on the board from Forest. That's something they can assume because they played it the last round, and this just means that barricading doors is going to act as a different method of figuring out if nuke is creeping around, because you'd have to break those doors by punching or by shooting, which will alert the defenders.
And some of the more experienced players may groan at what I'm about to say, but it does tend to be a thing at lower elo and lower ranks that newer players will actually barricade every single door, and they think that it keeps them safer. In all reality, there are very few instances where you actually want to do that, because it is smarter to leave the doors open and contest should somebody push you from that direction. If an attacker sees a closed door and they drone the room, they know they don't have to worry about you swinging on them. They can take map control much faster, and oftentimes as a defender, barricading every single door off actually works against you.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Same if you play Castle, don't be that guy who, you know, castles every door to bomb site so that when the Romans come back, they're like, guys, we can't get in, we gotta rip the door down now. Like, don't be that person.
I just feel like it's the Rorschach quote that applies there when it's like, I'm not trapped in here with you, you're trapped in here with me. And it's like, yeah, but I don't want to be. Please take the castle barricades down. I digress. Slow round other than Gunnar being gunned down after his high-flying performance yesterday, almost breaking into 20 kills. He sits at 0-3. That is not where one of your two new players wants to be, and Kool-Aid decides to swing, maybe for intel, but two immediate picks, but it's going to be a martyrdom potentially. It goes off as Penguin's able to get back in. Look at those reaction times. J90 answers the call, and now it's Blaz to falter. As I said this, it's almost like I cursed the round. A bit of dawdling, a bit of slow action, and then Astralis cleans house. Trophy statuary failing for Parabellum. Twice, Astralis successful both times.
A little bit of deja vu where Astralis aren't really doing a whole lot, and then PP, they want to get proactive. They swing into Astralis, and they lose all their gunfights, and eventually Astralis, they win with about 3 members alive. Trophy statuary bomb sites is not successful for Parabellum, so they'll go back to AVG instead, which I think is a wise choice here. But the question is, what do you do if you win this round? Do you go back to Trophy for the 3rd time thinking that this one will be different? Or do you have to go to that tertiary bomb set of kitchen dining, or perhaps all the way to living library? We'll find out soon, but first, this round is underway, and this shield now has been brought to that map location so that the Asami barricades or keeper barriers can be used in a different location instead, while still having that area of the map covered. Of course, the alibi from Gunnar, and now again allowing that fragging capabilities. The 1.5x, you can put down your shield, set and forget. Secondary shotgun on your pistol, can open up hatches, lines of sight. It's great for the roam game. And other than that, it's pretty much cookie cutter standard. For the attack inside, nothing quite out of the ordinary. Forrest gonna keep doing his thing on Nuke, as it has been applying so much pressure on Parabellum, sneaking around, getting those Banshees from Melusi.
Quantify the pressure. When you say so much pressure, it's a nebulous term that can mean anything to anybody. What do you mean by it when you say so much pressure from a nuke?
All right, so it's the fear of the unknown. You know, when you're in the ocean and you can't see all the way around you and below you, that's a lot of pressure of like, oh, there could be something in the water, right? The nuke is something in the water, but you'd never know exactly where. So the pressure is the unknown, but this one will be seen and heard, but it's too late because Iconic, he's gone.
It's been happening to Iconic actually a couple times. If I remember correctly, on the bank match yesterday, they jumped out on him and were able to get a successful kill or two from Soniqs. I think it might have been Rexon who did it, if memory serves me correctly. But there are times when I don't exactly have the most photographic memory. When you talk about Nook, I think Fear of the Unknown is absolutely correct. But in this case, Gunnar earns kill number 1 for him in this series by taking down the Nook, who hops on in. Another for Gunnar now as well as he drops. And suddenly, Parabellum have this round in their grasp. 5v2, 2 minutes to go. There's Blaz with yet another, and they're just playing with their food. J90 gets 1 kill, 4 more to be found. Astralis has clutch potential as a team, but there's an awful lot to do. A missed nade that'll do a tiny bit of damage to Kool-Aid, but it effectively tickles his feet. That's about it. J90 will reset, now head towards the stairs. He's got a kill hole looking up into this aviator bomb site. It appears that, well, both times this will go in favor of the defense unless something goes horrifically awry. And there it is, J90 killed from the same area that he was looking at before, but decides to go off of the barbed wire. Nearly a flawless round from Parabellum as they look quite strong on Aviator Games. The problem is elsewhere.
It is. I mean, that early aggression finally worked off for them, and they finally found the first opening kill on their side of things. Gunnar said, "You spooked me, Forrest." And that was kind of like the fear of the unknown, right? Like Gunnar's running around the map and doesn't hear the Nook creeping up, but, well, Gunnar doing what he does best and took out Forrest with great accuracy on the alibi. But a little bit of a spooky moment, of course. 5th round, and we are going to that tertiary bomb site of kitchen dining instead, and change things up a little bit here. This is exactly where you're going to see a bit of a lineup difference. The Mute and the Pulse is like the duo that you bring to this bomb site because you want to have 2 C4s, as you see. The Pulse will scan while the Mute has the C4 in hand, and then you will use the Mute C4 first, and then Mute becomes like a +1. Pulse can stick around and still keep scanning, and of course still has that option of a vertical damage with that C4. So likely we're gonna see 3 roamers, 2 guys on site. The Lesion provides a bit of information on the map, so does Melusi. The Goo mines will have to be shot or stepped into. That gives you a bit of a sound cue, and of course the Melusi Banshees, her gadgetry, will make that whoop whoop noise when somebody walks within striking distance. So that's gonna help you both in the roam game, on the site itself, and we'll have to see what Astralis' approach will be, because you can rush the bomb site, thinking that it's weak, or you can go up above of Master Bedroom, do some vertical damage, and then try and strike the bomb site later on. With the Goyo being banned, you have so much time at your disposal to make either decision. You don't have to fear about roam clearing and doing vertical play and then feeling like, okay, there's no time to plant. You will have that luxury because the Goyo is off the board.
We talk about operators that are being brought as well. There's obviously an optimal lineup now. Penguin dies first yet again. It's Forrest to capitalize off of it. Forrest with these opening duels breaking in his favor. That's great for Astralis. 5 rounds in, and 4 of the 5 first bloods are for the team born in the stars. And a bit of unfortunate misdroning as Kool-Aid inside a pantry is able to thwart whatever hard breach that Astralis can muster at that particular moment. It was a full round of X-Kairos that will go absolutely nowhere. That's valuable utility that DP Fire will now be without. And it also means that there won't be as great of an emphasis on that kitchen hold for the defense, because they have to be wary of, well, where the attackers are going to come from. They have a bit more, I guess, confidence because they don't have to worry about that panel being opened up. Blaz fires back, takes out J90, and now it's Gunnar holding over towards Astro as some of that triple panel upstairs in Master gets opened up by the Hibana. Eska, Nitro Cells, guns down Forrest with the explosive. Not quite a gun, but the result is all still the same. Iconic caught on the heels of what appeared to be the Lesion of Gunnar, as Blaz now circles around. They could very easily pinch. Parabellum's roam so far completely flying under the radar, and Astralis have no idea where these shadows are.
Doing a good job, just constantly moving around from Parabellum, like never letting Astralis figure out exactly where they are. And we see Blast now coming back towards this upper area, challenging once again, but he's alone, giving up the man advantage. 3v3 now instead, because Gunnar was all the way downstairs instead of lobby. The Pulse, of course, can give you some valuable information, but both C4s and Mute and the Pulse have been used. Of course, one got a kill, the second one missed, but they have already gotten a ton of value in that regard. Sledge being on the board, as well as Hibana, means the Astralis can both do the vertical damage and open up a singular wall with those 6 Hibana X Kairos if they want to. And they got 41 seconds to work with, and we'll see them do just that.
A bit of troubles to get on in, as you can see he's caught on the wall. Now these fewer X-Kairos will be a bit of a problem, and there's a mute jammer on the other side of the wall, leads from Laundry, which is exactly what Astralis is wrestling with. In the midst of the smoke, though, Iconic is going for the plant. A blind spray, and DP Fire is down. Iconic was the one with the diffuser, though, and they'll get out of dodge very quickly. A hop out from Bicycle Window from Eska could be huge, and there it goes, but it's read by Iconic. He knows this one. And he can hop right back in and hold that same control, which is what he'll do. The last player from Astralis is Shuttle. He's upstairs, and he'll watch the holes from below, downing the Legion in a quick knife. He missed it, but that's fine. Kool-Aid
should be underway. There we go. Flying back to the server, we are on Kitchen. Tertiary bombs out once again, and PB finding themselves in a bit of a habit here of going back to the bomb site they had just previously lost. They did it earlier on round 2 and round 3 on Trophy, and now on round 5 and round 6 they're doing it with Kitchen. To kind of jog your memory, last time when they went back to Trophy back-to-back, they lost both times. So we have to see if they can actually make this one a W instead. It was very close, but ultimately, I would say that their early aggression from PB worked out in their favor. They got 2 kills, only lost 1 member. It's a 4 versus 3. But then they re-aggressed with a single element being Blast, solo peeking into 3 members of Astralis. He loses that fight, and it comes back down to a 3 versus 3. Had Blast stayed alive, but played with Gunner, his roaming teammate, perhaps that entire outcome is different and PB comes out the victor. But lineups-wise, same story. Gunner's off deletion onto Warden, the rest stays the same.
Well, the one thing that we can guarantee is there's no there's no living room library defense for this first half. It'll be incumbent upon Astralis to bring it out if we want all 4 bomb sites played. There's relatively healthy site diversity on all 9 maps, and there are very few instances where we'll only see 2 or 3 of those bomb sites really strongly favored. Now, especially with the teams who are so good defensively, having to always go to that 3rd bomb site, aka your tertiary bomb site.
Bomb located by
Anywho,
attackers.
it's a 90 roam upstairs for Blaz. A minute in and nobody's died yet. That is a little bit slower than we are expecting. This is on this Kitchen defense down below.
Also, that Pulse is no longer beneath or on the bomb site itself looking up. He's extended to living room library instead. And a nice shot from Blast gets a kill, but traded straight back from Shuttle onto Gunner. Evens back to a 4v4. C4 comes out, does damage, but no kill. But Blast changes that with a kill as well.
Eska can still be down below, still calling, giving his team even greater power in position. Shuttle's on a tiny bit of HP. An impact nade from Blaz would actually be enough to take the sledge out of action, and the C4 in the pocket of Eska surely would, not to mention the fact that any bullet would too. But with the way it works right now, you're going to run into this wall of Parabellum. Eska decides to get quite aggressive himself, puts the cardiac sensor away and picks up a kill. They've only lost 1 player on the side of PB. Astralis, though, as mentioned, still have Shuttle with a tiny bit of life left. The other is J90. Now, with the way that Shuttle's been playing, that's somebody that can very obviously keep things close, but again, there's so many tools that Parabellum have that could kill Shuttle. He needs to be awfully careful.
Does trying to use that nade to mask the sound of J90 jumping inside that manual window, I believe, granting them some room on the map here to make a play with. But PP, they're playing so far back, and hopefully for them, they have a crossfire going too, because they don't want to swing these 1v1s. They want to try and leverage the man advantage for a 1v2.
J90's creeping up. The moment that they fire on a single player from Parabellum, the comms will go out and they will just encircle the last remaining attacker. And there it is. The last one standing is J90. Tons of munition, though. Down goes Shuttle. Penguin follows shortly after. J90 hunting, but he's going to have a really tough challenge here. He looks to the right, one from the left will kill him. And there's nobody who's going to present themselves. So inside of the Kitchen, he sees one, immediately pivots. That's an easy kill onto Blaz and almost gets Kool-Aid. But Parabellum with the steal at the end. Extraordinary effort from J90 given the circumstances. But Parabellum take their time out. They grab the final round. And we essentially reset the score at an even 3-3 with the side swap.
Yeah, a very close first half of both teams, of course. And Villa at the Charlotte Major was a 58% defender win rate. So you can almost argue, or you can argue here that Parabellum came out the loser of this half. But 3-3 on 4-2, they're not that far apart. And the big question now comes, can PB do their attacking sides good justice, because normally from Parabellum we see them with very innovative attacking strategies. Already now we see Penguin on the Buck, of course that can change with attack or repick, but the Buck itself speaks to a very different way of attacking on Villa than that of Astralis, because that allows you to do vertical destruction from below, going up to the bomb side. So in this case of AVG, you can take Living Library and you can shed the entirety of this floor that members of Astralis are standing upon right now. Whereas when Astralis was attacking, they didn't have that luxury because they didn't bring that operator, didn't opt for that playstyle. So keep our eyes on that as this round kind of progresses and unfolds in front of us. On the defensive side, we're seeing a similar fashion of what PB did themselves, of course. You have a gunner of J9O on the alibi with that great gun and great gadgetry. You get the mute for that drone deny and wall deny. That's always a stable pick on this map. The big 50-50 for defenders is whether you're going to play smoke or not. The toxic babes in defense can be great, but Villa often gets so explosive and so aggressive that it's not going to be about the time remaining, but the 1v1 gunfights throughout the round itself.
The setup that we see up top, being Aviator Games, will extend down to that side of the map of Trophy and Statuary, and also focus on Master Bedroom. It's something that we've seen a number of times, even before Azami was brought in, but the creativity that can be brought from an operator like Azami is huge. You can see 2 of these Kiba barriers have been set up that allow Iconic to play around them, and as an attacker, you basically have to pick your poison. Do you decide to fight one Kiba barrier or the other? Because if you don't drone it out effectively, you have no idea where they will be. Blaz seems to have an idea, though. And there he goes. He knows exactly it, and he gets both! Smoking the players of Astralis on the jump in, and it's Penguin for the follow-up, who's now been downed. Unsure of what, but it's Shuttle and Forest. Shuttle can't accomplish it. It's Forest in a 1v5. We are 1 minute into the round, folks. That's it. And now Forest will have to retake the bomb site and kill all 5 players of Parabellum while getting droned out inside of Study. This is just him knocking on death's door right now. Takes down Gunner, so at least you deny a flawless round, but that's really just more for bragging rights than anything else. Isolated inside a Study as the diffuser gets planted. 40 seconds left for Forest to survive, or toil, however you want to call it. Parabellum will continue to throw drones at the problem, give information away, and Forest decides a classical hallway is where he'll try to make some noise. A long range from 90, a Blaz, who manages to pick up kill number 3 on the round. When you've got a coach like Callout, when you've got Parabellum having, I apologize if I'm incorrectly saying your name, but is it Smitasus or Smitasus? I'm not sure, but the name on the jersey. Yeah, I see things like that, and I'm like, I actually don't know how. I think they were announced to.
That's fair.
Smitaceous is apparently. That's a Tacious. I like that.
Oh, that is nice.
Smitaceous is a great name. That's what production is telling me. If I'm wrong, then just blame them. Either way.
Okay.
When you have strategic coaches, and I believe VBM is still coaching for Parabellum as well, if I remember correctly, is that you want to take your time out to maximize the benefits. I mean, that sounds silly to say out loud, but it's really true. And if after your very first round on defense, Callout sees something he doesn't like, then you immediately turn around and say, let's settle the team down.
Yeah.
Let's figure it out. We have the whole round to go. That's why some teams that take their time out in round 4 or 5, yeah, they're going to want, whether they're on attack or defense, to be the focus, but then they immediately have to switch sides after those 2 rounds.
I think it's very important to get ahead of the problem rather than be thinking, oh, it'll solve itself eventually, and oh, snap, now it's match point. I guess I'm going to call a timeout and figure out everything in this immediate moment, right? So early problem solving, perhaps, from the side of Astralis, or as you mentioned, Callout seeing something significantly wrong that has to be changed for the future rounds to come. We do see Astralis instantaneously after timeout opting for the mirror, which actually is quite a rare sight to see, especially on Villa, because of all the vertical ways of clearing it, and of course, the Twitch drones that can clear it.
Astralis did this at the Charlotte Major, if memory serves me correctly, where they were down, I think they went 0-4 down against Dark Zero in map 1, and then they took their time out and they clawed it back and ended up winning on Villa. And maybe sometimes it's just about maybe easing nerves, especially at a major when you're playing in your very first grand finals on stage. Either way, that was then. This is now. What impact will Callout's words have on this team? That is the question. We're witnessing it unfold right now. And this will be a nice nade and almost takes Forest out as Gunner searching to improve his KD. After he went almost 20 kills yesterday, he's sitting at 2-7. Not good enough when you're playing on these roles for Gunner, and really being just kind of patched over with the fact that Blaz and Kool-Aid are having great games on roles where, you know, Kool-Aid in particular, not that important. Missed opportunity now for Gunner. as we hit the halfway point of the round, and there's still some sustained focus from this Parabellum team onto the trophy component of this bomb site.
But look at this, I mean, they got complete astral control in the attack inside because Gunnar just walked up the stairs, and now all the members are stuck inside the bomb site itself, but there's no real safe corners to be sitting in.
And the focus from Parabellum is entirely on the backside of this map, over towards Astrology, and looking into both the A and B bomb sites from those doors and walls. They've been very gladly given some entry point. And Penguin swings, by the way, gets traded out immediately, and it just looks like they're going to come to blows very quickly. Strategy be damned, it's all about the bullets, and now Gunnar has a lot of them to unload, taking down Iconic and looking for more. An Adrenal Surge goes out. Kool-Aid thwarted by Forest. There's still some fight in Astralis. Eska chooses his targets, gets it correctly, and it's DP Fire in a 1v3. The sick player, ailing player of Astralis. Ooh. Can he be just as sick in the server? 1 kill to start, 2 more to go. Eska knows exactly where he is. Diffuser, not in the hands of anybody from Parabellum. Now Gunnar picks it up, and Eska, who knew where DP Fire was, does not allow the final player of Astralis to get back to the bomb site. The timeout does not immediately work. Parabellum stretch their lead. They're up 5-3.
It's winnable. DB5 is so close. Every single member really is so low on HP because those gunfights earlier on, despite the Adrenal Surges from Gunnar, they just took so much damage throughout the chaos, but it favored the attackers again because with those Adrenal Surges, you just get a little bit more value out of gunfights, not finishing off your members, but only slightly tickling or taking away some damage. And in a similar fashion, we are just going to go through the bomb sites here. We're going to try and see what is going to work for Astralis' defense. They tried the AVG, they tried the Trophy. Now they're down in Kitchen Dining instead. And again, we speak about the vertical C4s. They got some. They got a single one, that is, on Shuttle. They don't have that pulse operator that we usually see every single time. They got the DP Fire special of Frost instead. Of course, Iconic with the iconic operator of his of Thorn. Astralis is one of the 2 teams that plays somewhat Thorn in their operator lineup, like OXG plays it a bit, Astralis plays it a bit, but outside of that, we don't really tend to see this operator a whole lot. I'm always happy to see it because when pro players walk up a staircase or in through a door, the gadget goes off, and it's always like a flicking battle of like, okay, where's the gadget? Where do I shoot? Bit of a panic moment.
Well, Parabellum, at this point, could theoretically start to run away with it. Over the last 5 rounds, they've won all but 1. It's quite an impressive series of performances. They took their timeout and they are 3-0 since burning that. The clock will continue to run for Astralis to see if at any point they can figure it out, since they just burned their timeout a round before this. DP Fire holding upstairs now as it's a kitchen defense.
Yep, pressuring match point as well. This gunfight here, opening kill is huge, as we know from both of these teams. So far, pretty even split down the middle from both sides, so whoever can get this one will put themselves in a great position.
There's a bit of annoyance from the Logic Bomb, and it's Penguin who's been down. He's in a frost mat. You cannot get them back with an Adrenal Surge. Try as you may. Kool-Aid has his teammates back on a DP Fire. Diffuser being planted. He's in the midst of the bomb site, and he gets hit by an impact. All of a sudden, Astralis have an idea, and there's Eska. He could have put something together, but only 1 kill is all he gets. Gunnar to clutch out. Extraordinary yesterday, and he's on Finka. If there's going to be an operator to do this, it's him. Adrenal Surge is back up, but he doesn't want to use it because when you hit it, it gives your position away. Not that they don't know where he is. Nade goes in to try and deny some area of the map. Forest takes a ton of damage because of it. Gunnar now uses that Adrenal Surge. These final 2 kills from Astralis, tantalizing. 90 seconds to go. 1 player inside a Memorial. That's where Gunnar's focus is. And instead, he'll head back out. And he can go to drone if he wants. A nade primed and ready. I don't think this is going to be sufficient. And no, it isn't. But maybe coax one of these players from Astralis out of their position. Instead, this is the team that Callout has built, and the patience that has been shown. There's a crossfire established perfectly as Forest has the right, Shuttle has the left, and Gunnar needs to pick his choice as well. Wow. Look at that. It's like clockwork. Again, this Astralis team, the patience extraordinary, and they play that defense perfectly, allowing no clutch to be had for Parabellum.
You can show that round, like that 1 versus 2 situation, as like a lecture for other teams and other players, because that is exactly how you establish a 1 versus 2 crossfire, where the attacker has essentially 0% chance of winning. The moment he sees 1 player, the other person will take him out. And I bet you right now, had Gunnar gone around the map, you know, into that red hallway to Memo where 1 player of Astralis would be, they would then reposition themselves in a similar fashion where if you want to fight 1, you got to fight them both. And that is why they managed advantage is so crucial and so important, but only if you play around it correctly, which Astralis did, and therefore denied the clutch and got the round. 5-4 now to start round 10, back in AVG, where things started off for both teams on the defensive side, and we'll have to see this time, well, if a member of Parabellum jumps into yet another Frost Trap, as it did in the one previous round.
I appreciate that just immediately he's downed, and then the instant
goes out.
you just immediately hit that adrenal surge.
I mean,
but you can't, I mean, your leg's in a bear trap.
I'm going to assume that Gunnar just saw the injury icon and was like, you know what, I'm going to help you, beep boop, just, you know, better safe than sorry, but yeah, you know, that was not going to help you in the Frost Trap. You're going to stay in that the entirety of the round until either somebody finds you and takes you out, or somebody helps you out with a helping hand on that revival.
With that round, though, the likelihood of overtime has vaulted up quite substantially. Kitchen being the one lone bomb site that Astralis have won on defense, as they failed on Aviator and Trophy, and it was Parabellum really taking the fight to them and doing so admirably. Now it's Parabellum focusing on study to start with, but you can see that they've also got a couple players over by the master bedroom side of things and picking up utility with those Rotero drones. Penguin using them quite effectively, still 2 remaining.
Yeah. And obviously, like, because you have 4 Rotero drones on the Flores, you can spend 2 or 3 of them just clearing out utility, save the last one for later on in the round if you want it. Of course, you need information. Damage goes out, Iconic suffering so much loss on that health bar, and there's no healing operator on the defense to help him back up.
No, it's not what you want to see at all. DP Fire sustaining some damage too. We see the Nook that was brought out by Astralis now working for Parabellum, and oh, Gunnar just narrowly missing out. If you head over towards 90, the Nook could have paid off so much. It's Blaz to take damage for Parabellum. Gunnar still not sure where he wants to go, maybe into the bomb site. If he catches one of them off guard, and he does, again, it's a missed opportunity. Gunnar getting siege timinged so hard at the moment, they could very easily rack up some clout by posting about it on old Twitter.com. Nobody dead yet. We're at the halfway point. Gunnar still posted up on the door, looking into the B bomb site.
Question comes now, how do you go forward from here? Because PB find themselves in a bit of a huddle here, a bit of a trouble, rather. They don't want to challenge all these gunfights right now because they know Astralis are getting active and aggressive, and so far, well, an injury comes out. It's Blast on the ground.
Blaz was so low already that you can just shoot through the walls and that'll be all she wrote. Iconic taken out by Gunnar, and look at that, Forrest on the flank, but he can't outduel the new player. Blaz retrievable. Gunner's on 1 HP, but it's a worthy exchange. Trade 99% of your health for 2 kills. Most people would do it any day of the week. Blaz looked to be retrievable, but now the issue is, what about J90? He's picked back up. There's no Finka from Parabellum here, so no way to get them back. And with how low they are, they can pick them off just as Gunnar got by J90. 40 seconds remaining. Blaz back from the dead, but very limited HP. Kool-Aid has Diffuser, might attempt another plant. Objective play has not been particularly strong for either teams. It's been all killing, and now it's Kool-Aid's job to do it with Diffuser in hand. These teams coming to blows so frequently. Smoke goes out. Blaz obscuring part of the bomb site. DP Fire taking damage. All this action happening on different parts of the maps. Shuttle engages on the window. Blaz back from the dead, as we said. Well, you don't need much HP to be able to hold that gun, so it's DP Fire to retake. Do they have a beat on his position? Kool-Aid planting default. DP Fire sprays through the wall and gets them, and now the diffuser needs to be retrieved. It's been picked up. Blaz to plant. Eska to cover. They know where DP Fire is. This is for match point, and they're going to move to it. Parabellum tearing through the defense on the bomb site. And like that, they're 1 round away from a victory.
The outlines lied. I too thought he was planting behind the vault door in a default position, but he in fact planted in front of that door. So the wall bank found the head, or found his body, took him out and denied the plant there. And the timing for Gunnar throughout that entire round, so bad. I mean, you vault the desk, the second you do it, you get shot in the back. You activate your gadget to on ADS the moment you get peeked. It is so unfortunate, but somehow in the midst of that chaos, again, they figure it out anyway, and they win those gunfights. Parabellum did a really good job at relocating their troops so that they could swing together 2 or 3v1 on the last few members of Astralis that were in a trouble position for them. And with that being said, we are gonna try one more time this AVG defense for Astralis to see if they can figure out the missing pieces here. They will still bring the Frost, that's gonna stay the same. But the Banshee, well, you instantly rotate it off, likely because Penguin being on this floor towards Operator, being able to just destroy those from the early stage of that round with the Retero drones, it's too much wasted utility on the defensive side, because when you pick up the Melusi, you're crushing onto it. You desperately need those benches to be alive so that you know where the attackers might be coming from, and if those gadgets are gone early on, well, it might be better to go in like a rechargeable Operator instead, like Legion, where the longer the round goes on for, the more value you will gain.
But at the same time, Parabellum was so quick in rounds 1 and 2 of this second half, which were rounds 7 and 8. Operators that generate their gadgets, Wamai, Azami, Legion, as you talked about, they don't pay that same value because you have an operator like Forest, or you have a player like Forest playing that operator. Forest is almost certainly going to be involved in the early altercation, and he dying means that you get, what, 2, maybe 3 goo mines out of a Legion. Yep. That's really not that good.
Dead already.
Speak of the devil, and the devil shall appear. Forest is dead on this Legion. You've got maybe 3 goo mines positioned, depending on where he put them, and that's all she wrote out of that operator. Parabellum starting off strong on match point, looking for their first victory. They did pick up a point against Oxygen yesterday in their 15-round loss, but a win against this Astralis team. The runners-up to Charlotte Major and the victors yesterday against the Soniqs would be very large.
And the thing is, it's because Parabellum can play both styles of Rainbow Six Siege, right? They go really, really fast the first couple attacks, but if you've been paying attention, the last 2 rounds, they've slowed down tremendously and playing that utility game instead, and it's forcing Astralis into an uncomfortable position that they're not familiar with, and they're being punished for it.
Got a beat on one of the defenders as well. Gunner knows he's there, but has to be wary of a player by the door. You push up too aggressively and you can get gunned down. It might even be a trap because they know they've been isolated. Iconic takes out Penguin, but he's traded out by Blaz. Shuttle towards 90, can't do much. J90 suffering a huge loss of blood, as is Shuttle. This is not looking good for Astralis at all. That 4-map win streak on Villa could come to a screeching halt at the hands of this Canadian roster and this Canadian organization. Somewhat Canadian, I'll take it. 2 players. Battle on the stairs. DB fire down for the count. Shuttle follows. It's J90, and he's going nowhere but out of here. What a triumphant victory for Parabellum. A 7-4. And they must be very, very happy about that. Gunner didn't even perform all that well, but guess what? The rest of the team did. Gunner overperforms yesterday. Team loses. Gunner has a quiet day today. Team wins. He can't explain that.
So Gunner should just not play good for the rest of the season, is that it? I mean, he did get MVP into the points. He ended up